right, welcome. Today's going to be a race recap of our Real Rookie Racing MX-5 Monday night events. This is going to be a full raw footage recording from my first podium finish with these guys in the MX-5 class. Getting off to a great start here. We started off P5. Just trying to stay as clean as possible here just to survive this first lap. Turning on the player names now so we can see who we're racing with. We got Patchy in front. And a little bit later on, I do turn on the leaderboard so we can see who's behind us, who's way up front. I believe that's speed bump behind. Going down the first straightaway now, giving Patchy a little bit of a bump here. And in a little bit here, I'm going to give him another bump, but not intentionally. Going through the bus stop now into this downhill right-hand corner here. Full speed in fourth gear in the fifth now, braking at the 200 marker. That's where we hit Patchy, and this is where things go all south. Boat blowing on by the chaos there. And feeling really bad for Patchy. That's not what I really had in mind on working together there. Driver tries to shoot up the inside there, blocking that, closing the door there. So yeah, Patchy, sorry for that, man. Come to find out in the second race too, I ended up taking him out, so not feeling too good about any of that. But as we are behind, well, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Bojo-san. Very consistent here. We actually had a pretty good heads-up battle here for the entire race. Getting the move done on him later on. As we adjust some settings there, throwing up the leaderboard on the bottom left and the Essentials tab on the bottom, just to give a little bit more information. I do wish that I would have put the real time on the screen so we can see how far ahead and how far behind we are. For the rest of this video, I'm going to call him Bojo. I'm probably butchering your name, dude, but I'll get that information later on. But capitalizing on the mistake now as we go up the hill. Wondering now if he's going to try and pass me on the straight or... Yes, he does. I was wondering if he would work with me here and try and bump, but staying nice and close now. Falling back in the line here as we go back into the chicane. Goes a little bit wide, going a little bit off track, digging into the dirt to pass on the outside, getting the move done. Will we be able to defend this position, or will we have ourselves a continuous battle? I believe that this leaderboard hasn't updated yet, but I believe we are sitting in fourth right now, behind Boat. Both staying really consistent, not being able to catch up to him throughout this race. Race really turns into a consistency race. Spoiler alert, we don't experience too much more excitement as we try to maintain position here for the rest of this race. Coming into the last corner now, was battling with this throughout the week during practice and qualifying, but after some suspension settings and just being able to throw the car in there and stay steady, we're able to make some good time here. Trying to break the slipstream here as we go down the front straightaway. Bojo still maintaining close enough distance as he makes a little bit of mistake behind. going over the curb. That definitely claimed me later on in race 2. So I know what that's like. You go into that first corner a little too hot, you don't scrub off enough speed under braking, that corner sucks you out, blows you to the left side of the track, and those curves really unsettle the car. Braking at the 200 sign just before. Ideally, you want to be braking right at the 200 sign. This is a 4th gear, full throttle corner into 5th now on the curb. This corner used to give me a lot of hard times as well, but throughout the week and through practice, we're able to find some really good momentum through here. Had my best lap, or my personal best during qualifying before this event, with a 2:08.6. Correction, my best was a 2:08.5, and that was during practice on the weekend before this Monday's event. So 2:08.6, I was pretty happy about being able to get close to that personal best time, putting us at a starting position of P5. Leaderboard is not really updating here, which is a little bit frustrating, but that's okay, because I do believe we are in P3 currently. Trying to look ahead here on the straight. I can only see one car, I believe. So yes, I believe we are in P3. Nice and tidy there. I was really hoping to have a closer race with positions in front and back, but as we start to pull away now, trying to maintain consistency in the gap in front and the gap behind. Bojo and I maintained a gap between 1.5 seconds to 2.7 throughout the rest of this race. But there were a couple times where he did close the gap, and it would be in the beginning sector of this race, or of this track, I should say. Was really happy with maintaining the consistency during these laps, as we stayed in the high 208s and low 209s throughout this race. Was really important to maintain this position, as the front of the pack was very consistent in lap times, very close in lap times. Except for the driver in first currently, which I'm gonna probably butcher this name too. Kingolski was so fast in qualifying, putting down a 2-minute 7.6, which was almost a full second ahead from P2, if I remember correctly. Into the first corner again we go, braking at the 100 marker. Another thing I'd like to put on too for future videos is putting on the performance delta, so we can see consistency in laps, or are we slower in what corner, are we faster in what corner. I think that's nice data to see, so we can get a good idea of how I'm driving. We go braking at the 200 sign this time, trying to hit that end of the guardrail there as much as possible. Maintaining momentum through the bus stop was really important to lap times, As we can see, we're pulling a bit ahead now from Bojo, as him and Barlando have their own battle for P4. As you can see, we can see 4 cars directly coming around that last corner. So I knew it was really important for me to not make any mistakes, because if I did, I would lose a lot of positions very quickly there. See him coming up the hill, 1, 2, 3, and 4 cars coming up the hill behind us there. I really do love driving the MX-5s because it does teach me how to just be light on the controls and being as smooth as possible, maintaining the momentum as much as possible. More than halfway through this race now, as we cross the start finish with a 2:08.8. Nice lap time here, as we're about 0.2 away from our fast qualifying time. So maintaining good momentum here. Looks like the gap behind is still pretty close. But there again, you know, if I made any sort of mistake, I know Bojo would be right there to capitalize on it. So really just had to settle into position here, settle into the race. Now, I was considering cutting up this race and skipping ahead, but if I did, I'd just be skipping the whole entire race here, because after the first couple laps, settling into position here, not really too much happened here. So this really was a race of consistency. This race was 20 minutes, just a little over 10 laps. But this race really did teach me to just take your time, settle into this race, maintain position and consistency as much as possible. Really happy I found Real Rookie Racing through the Assetto Corsa online multiplayer races. As I was looking to join a club or a community that raced regularly. And you know, you don't have to go through these multiplayer lobbies where people intentionally just take you out. It's one thing I've grown to appreciate about Real Rookie Racing is, you know, I really feel like the drivers try hard. As we scrape the wall there a little bit, I really feel like the drivers do try really hard to keep it as clean as possible. And you know, you're not gonna have a perfect race. We still have incidents and we still have accidents. As we saw me boot Patchy off the track in lap 1, but that wasn't intentional. I really do try and race as clean as possible, but mistakes do happen as we learn and progress in our online sim racing quote career. But you know, we all try really hard to keep it clean and you know, give the apologies where it's needed. So good respect all around to the drivers here. I've really grown to appreciate that. Getting a little sideways now, going into the bus stop, scrubbing off some speed here. If I remember correctly, I gave up about 0.4 in that one mistake there, as we see Bojo closing the gap just a little bit. It just goes to show, you know, if you make a little bit of mistakes here and there, it does add up very, very quickly. And pretty lucky here that we had a little bit of a cushion to try and make up for it, as we see Boat start to pull away here now with a good 2 to 3 second gap on me, which I was unable to close. So very consistent run by Boat. And see, we're opening up a bit of a gap now as I feel we were a bit faster through that middle sector there. Staying nice and tidy. Bringing it out to the edge of that curb there. Something else I want to turn on for the future are the pedal readouts so you can see pedal inputs. Now that wall was just really a big threat to me as you try not to stare at it coming out of that last corner. But you did feel like the car would want to drift out there, going a bit over the curb. So pushing it just a little bit too much as we see Bojo behind us doing the same thing there. It was really hard not to push through that first corner there, carrying too much speed to the outside. I did lose a couple of laps during qualifying from doing that, exceeding the track limits there. As we see Bo enter the bus stop here with a really nice gap. Easy, buddy. Trying not to push it. Really trying to stay steady and in control here. During practice there, I would rub the inside of that curb and it would throw the car into a slight oversteer. So it was really important, especially with this corner here, as we're going up the hill, to stay off of that curb, because if you put on even a half tire, it would unsettle the car and put it into a drift, which would essentially throw your entire lap time by 3 to 6 tenths. Really great training in these MX-5s, learning how to get back on the gas as soon as possible. As we maintain the gap from Boat and Bojo now. Coming up to some of our final laps as we cross the line at a 2:09 flat. So even though we had a few mistakes there, still maintaining great momentum. I did notice throughout practice that if you stayed on those curbs there, you would actually lose a lot of your momentum there. So yes, it's okay to go on them, but it was important to get back onto track as soon as possible so you can start building up momentum here down the fastest part of this racetrack, because that first corner was so important to nail your exit. I did notice a big difference of about 4 to 6 tenths, even 7 tenths in some areas, or some instances where if you didn't get a clean exit out of turn 1, your entire lap would be scrubbed. Coming up to some lap traffic here. I was really hoping that it would slow Boat down a little bit, but gets around him cleanly here as he goes off track into the uphill section. Oh, hitting the fence actually, slowing him down a lot. Are we going to be able to get around him cleanly? Looks like he's not going to get out of the way, so we're going to have to pass this guy. Nervous here if we're going to get taken out, with slight bump going into the corner here as he pulls out of the fight. Which I'm preaching to myself here, as I didn't do in race 2, but I did become a lap marker as I wrecked out of the race. And later in the race, did not get out of the way properly, so apologies to those drivers. Because I got into a lap battle, or I should say a lap marker battle with another driver as we were getting in the way of drivers in position and I was too stubborn and didn't get out of the way. So apologies there. Lesson learned as well. Need to pay attention to those blue flags. And even though I'm in my own race with other drivers that are lapped down, I need to be more respectful to those who are on the current lap. So this is, good real world training here as I prepare for karting this season. Getting a little unsettled there, but recovering nicely. So we should be coming up on some of our last laps. If not the final lap here in this race. Was really happy with my progression coming around this downhill left. That was one of the corners I was struggling with. Likewise for this uphill right, staying as tidy and patient as possible before getting back on the throttle. Was really happy with this race. So I wanted to include a full race recap as I get my first podium finish in the MX5 Club, or class I should say. I don't think this race was for points. This was an open race, so unfortunately these points don't go towards the season standings. However, a lot of great lessons learned as we come up to what I believe is the finish. Yes, it is. As we see the post-race wrecks happening here. Who am I going to hit? Oh! As we end our race properly with a proper wreck. So there we have it. Our first P3 finish. Unfortunately, taking out a car in that first lap. But other than that, it was a very clean race and very happy with it. Thanks for watching.